King Lear, William Shakespeare. Main characters: King Lear, the aging ruler of Britain, whose vanity and poor judgment trigger his own downfall, transitioning from absolute power to tragic madness. Cordelia, Lear's youngest, fiercely loyal and honest daughter, who refuses to flatter him, yet remains his truest source of love. Goneril, and Regan, Lear's older, ruthless, and manipulative daughters, who betrayed their father once they secure his land and power. Edmund, the ambitious and cunning illegitimate son of Gloucester, who plots to destroy his brother and father to claim power. The Earl of Gloucester, a noble lord whose gullibility mirrors Lear's, leading him to trust the wrong child and suffer a brutal fate. Edgar, Gloucester's legitimate son, who is forced into disguise, as a beggar per time to survive his brother's treachery. The fool, Lear's loyal court jester, who uses harsh wit and paradoxes to speak bitter truths to the fallen king. Minor characters: the Earl of Kent, a loyal nobleman banished by Lear for defending Cordelia, who returned in disguise to serve his king secretly. Duke of Albany, Goneril's husband, whose moral conscience awakens against his wife's cruelty. Duke of Cornwall, Regan's sadistic, Regan بنت لير هذا زوج سادي انت قلت تعرف السادية. Husband who inflicts brutal violence upon Gloucester before meeting his own demise. Oswald, Goneril's arrogant and treacherous steward. Inciting Incident. The treachery begins when the aging, vain King Lear decided to divide his kingdom among his 3 daughters to measure their affection. He demands a public declaration of love. His 2 eldest daughters, Goneril and Regan, offer extravagant, false flattery and are rewarded with rich territories. His youngest and favorite daughter, Cordelia, refuses to play this hypocritical game, offering only honesty, simple devotion, blinded with pride and fury. Lear disowns and banishes Cordelia, stripping her of her dowry. At the same time, he banishes the royal Earl of Kent for protesting. This catastrophic misjudgment shattered the political stability of Britain and sets off a chain of reaction of betrayal, madness, and civil war. Climax. The absolute crisis peaks amidst a violent, raging storm on a desolate heath, which mirrors Lear's inner psychological collapse, driven completely mad by the brutal betrayal of Goneril and Regan. Lear wanders the wilderness, accompanied only by his loyal fool and Edgar in disguise. Meanwhile, the Gloucester Castle, the tragedy in Gloucester's castle, the tragedy reaches its horrific physical peak. The wicked Cornwall and Regan discover Gloucester's secret sympathy for Lear, viciously gouging out Gloucester's eyes in a scene of an unmatched cruelty. Concurrently, a brutal civil war looms as Goneril and Regan turn against each other, both consumed by a toxic lust for the traitorous Edmund. The social and moral order for the kingdom completely collapses, the fathers and children locked in a mortal combat. Resolution. The final resolution of the play is devastatingly bleak. Offering no traditional poetic justice, the English forces, led by the repentant Albany and the disguised Edgar, defeat the invading French army. Allied with Cordelia. Edmund captures both Lear and Cordelia, ordering Cordelia's secret execution in prison. Though Edmund is mortally wounded in a trial by combat against his brother Edgar, and Colonel poisons Regan before committing suicide out of jealousy, salvation arrives too late. King Lear stumbles onto the stage carrying the lifeless body of Cordelia. In his arm, his heart breaking from grief, the profound realization that his pride destroyed his only truly loving daughter shatters him completely. Lear dies in a final wave of agonizing delusion, believing she is still breathing. Albany, or in some text versions, Edgar is left standing amidst the wreckage to assume the throne, tasked with restoring a broken kingdom governed by survivors who have learned the bitter price of vanity, blindness, and unmitigated power. And mitigated power. And unmitigated power. And love, mitigated, and mitigated power.